Hello and welcome back. I am Chris with Marksman Shooting Sports and CheapGunsUSA.com in Westfield, Indiana, and you are watching Marksman TV. Today's video is going to be a quick 2018 buyer's guide on the surplus pistol market. Now, every single year we see new surplus firearms come into the market. We see old surplus firearms dry up and leave the market. So this will be a good indication of what's popular today, right now, and what you should consider probably purchasing before they go extinct. Because remember, in the surplus market, firearms will be at their cheapest price when they are available. They will eventually dry up, and when they do, the prices are going to skyrocket. So consider this a potential guide for investors, or if you're interested in any of these firearms, I recommend you jump on them before they dry up and the prices go up. If that all sounds interesting to you, stick around. This is coming up now. Okay, so I'm giving you a list of 6 surplus pistols that you should be considering right now in 2018. So number 1 is the VZ Model 70. Of course, this is made in Czechoslovakia, and Czechoslovakia is really known for making a lot of really cool and interesting firearms that usually tend to end up on the surplus market. Now this one is very much modeled after the Walther PP. It does have a fixed barrel and it is a straight blowback design. And just an overall very rugged, nice firearm. Now this is an update from its previous model, the VZ Model 50. But just a nice iconic Cold War era pistol. Now these can be bought today for anywhere in the $200 to $250 mark, which is really cheap. Keep in mind there are a lot of collectors of the CZ and VZ style firearms. So these will, of course, in the future go up, especially as future generations will probably be more interested in the Cold War era firearms, as that era is starting to become more prevalent in pop culture and will probably continue to do so moving forward. So this is starting us off with number 6. Now, at number 5 are the Yugoslavian Model M57 and the M88A. Of course, these would be commonly known as a Tokarev or a TT type model. Now, these were originally manufactured in Russia, known as the Model TT33, and they were, of course, adopted by the satellite countries, Yugoslavia, Romania, Poland. So there are a lot of different variations of this going on. Chinese, even. You would see these show up in Vietnam. So these are very iconic, and they made a ton of them, almost sort of like the AK-47. They're just made everywhere. These have been on the commercial market from different countries of origin for quite some time, and I don't see them going extinct anytime soon, but eventually, like all other surplus, they will, and this is one I definitely recommend jumping on. It is chambered in 7.62 by 25, which is a hot little round, which was famously also used in the PPSH 41 and 43, and of course the original Russian TT-33, so really cool round. Now, the M88A is a commercial export model made by Zastava, and it is chambered in 9mm, so the ammunition availability on this is quite a bit easier to come by. You can still get the surplus ammunition on this, but most of it is corrosive, so keep that in mind. Also, PPU and S&B make newly manufactured 7.62 by 25. It's not that expensive. It's about the cost of maybe 45 ACP. So it is available and a lot of fun to shoot. Now, on the market today, these can be found as low as like $190 is as low as I've seen them, up to about $250 in better condition, the Yugoslavian ones. Now, the Romanian, the Polish, the Chinese, they have, for as much as I know, have pretty much dried up. I remember a lot of the Romanian ones coming into the country in the past 8 years or so. Those are already going up in price. I think the Yugoslavian M57s are pretty much the last ones that are still coming in. Again, when they dry up, they're gone. Same with the M88As. And these are in mostly really good condition. Same, I mean, you can get the Tokarevs, that's what I call them, or the M57s in varying degrees of condition, but something that I think everybody should really consider owning and putting in their collection, especially now with how cheap you can get them. Coming in at our number 4 spot is the Polish Model P64. This is another one that actually have been coming in for quite a while. These were famously used by the Polish artillery forces, some police issue use, really prevalent around the 70s or late 60s. Single stack, chambered in 9x18 Makarov, so the Makarov round. This is kind of lumped into the Makarov family of firearms. It is a fixed barrel, straight blowback design. If you're familiar with any of the other Makarovs or the Walther PPKs or the Model PPs, they work very much the same way. They disassemble the same way. These are infamous for their very, very heavy double action pull. There is no slide stop, but the double action pull on these is brutally heavy. I mean, probably in the neighborhood of like 20 pounds. So very, very heavy. Now the single action though on it is very nice. Pretty much indicative of most other single action firearms that you may have handled. Very smooth, nice clean break. As the Surplus collectible, again, Cold War era, especially Polish firearms do tend to have a good following in the collector field of things. These have been on the market for a long time. I remember first seeing them maybe even as late as 10 years ago, and they were going for the same price then as they are now, between about the $200 to $250 mark. Now, not even as a collector, these are really cool little truck guns or tackle box guns. They're small, they're concealable, they work, they're rugged, they fire off the steel cased or aluminum cased 9x18 Makarov. Of course, you can find the ammunition. It'll run you about the same price as .380. You're looking at maybe $17 to $20 a box of 50 rounds of newly manufactured ammunition, so it's not bad. Definitely one I recommend picking up. Okay, and our number 3 spot is the Spanish Star Model BM 9mm. You do get these today. They come in their original cardboard factory box with instruction manual, cleaning rod, 1 magazine. Really, really cool provenance on the firearm. It's always cool when you get in surplus stuff when they come with sort of the original kit that they were issued with. Be it holsters like the Polish P64s we just talked about. You usually see those coming in with holsters too. So those are cool. Now, to bring in the firearm, this is, in my opinion, one of the best values on the surplus market today. What this essentially is a full steel frame 1911 and 9mm. Now, if you go to the used market on modern day production American market firearms, maybe the ATI, maybe Rock Island 1911s, even used, a steel frame 9mm might end up costing you in the $300 to $400 range and up. These can be had between about $200 to $250 right now, which is ridiculously cheap for what you get. They are all pretty much in really good condition. Not only do you get a full steel frame 1911 and 9mm, excuse me, but you do get the provenance and just sort of the cool collectible nature of the fact that these were used in the Spanish police forces. So they do have some sort of historical context. They do come with 1 single stack magazine. Now, actually, every single one of these firearms I'm showing you in this video, I personally own. This is one of the ones I throw in the range bag pretty much every time I go. They are incredibly reliable, very soft shooting, very accurate. It is a 9mm 1911, and a lot of people kind of forget that when they're looking at a $200 or $250 price tag. So, highly, highly recommended. Very much a fan of this example. Now, the standard model Stars, the full-size ones with the 5-inch barrels, also a 9mm. Those were popular and came into the market maybe within about the past 5 years, but those have since, for the most part, dried up, and we are already seeing those prices on those going up to over $300 now in some cases, depending on condition. And, you know, those used to be, I remember 5 years ago, $189. So, again, that's just a testament to explain that when these things dry up, the prices just kind of really go up. So get on one of these before they dry up. It's just my opinion. Okay, at number 2 is the Beretta 92S. What these are Italian police surplus. They've been coming into the market pretty steadily for about the past 2 to 3 years. I don't see much of a sign of them stopping, but I mean, my only thought is how big was the National Italian Police Forces? I mean, they can't be that huge, and there's just tons of these things coming in. But like everything else, they will dry up. Now, the cool thing about the 92S is it is really, really, really similar to the 92FS or the M9. There are a few differences, like you don't have an ambi decocker safety. The sights are lower profiled. The biggest difference that throws a lot of people off is the magazine release is down here. So keep in mind, if you get this and you want to get new magazines for it, you need the magazine cutout notch down here at the bottom. Now, some of them have a notch in both places, so you see this notch here, that would be for your standard magazine release that's up here. And then the notch at the bottom is for your bottom magazine release. I have a new-ish M9, and both of my magazines that came with that are actually cut in both places. So you can get lucky and find that. But these mags, if you just get the ones with the notch cut at the bottom, not too difficult to find. I've seen them online for like $15. But these typically come with one magazine. They are in varying condition, but one thing I will say is true, and we've sold about 30 of these in our store, is externally you will see some holster wear. Just like most police guns, they're carried often but shot very little. So internally, these are all actually always in really good shape. The bores are always very clean. One other cool point and note is you do have a metal guide rod, which the modern 92FSs and M9s that you get on the commercial market do not. They're a polymer guide rod. So nice little upgrade. People usually pay an extra $50 to upgrade that part anyway. But I own one of these. Andy, who you guys have seen, he's bought one of these too. We've taken them both to the range. Never had an issue. Incredibly reliable for what you would expect. These can be had right now anywhere from about $280 to $320 depending on condition. So let's call it $300. You are getting a phenomenal value. Again, when the market dries up, the prices are going to sort of equalize around the M9s and the 92s on the used market. There are little bits about below them, but you also get that cool provenance knowing that this did serve in the Italian police forces, so that's just a cool piece of history to have in your safe as well. So definitely another one I recommend picking up before they're all gone. Finally, at number 1, this is one of those that the ship has almost left the dock on. So these are the Bulgarian Makarovs. These were made by in Bulgaria, China, East Germany, and Russia, of course. Now, all the other imported Makarovs from the other countries I just mentioned, other than Bulgaria, have all pretty much dried up from coming into the market. I mean, those surplus lots, at least as far as I know, are pretty much gone. The Russians, the Chinese, and the East Germans are already going up pretty high in price, in about the $600 range plus, depending on what they come with. That includes being import marked and all. The Bulgarian Makarovs have been coming into the country over the past 10 years plus, but they are coming in fewer and fewer and fewer now. I remember through my importer, if I wanted 100 of these, I could have 100 of these. I just got in my first shipment actually in a year, and I could only get in 8. That's all they had left. And I contacted them, pretty much right after. I mean, immediately that they sent out a bulletin that they got in a small lot. So these aren't really coming in crates. They're kind of coming over in boxes now. So these can still be had in about the $300 to $350 range, which for a Makarov, this is a true Makarov, really, really good value. When they are dried up, I can see if they dry up today, I bet you next year these will be $500 or $600. So you can already go on Gunbroker and see Bulgarian Makarovs going for well over $4. So if you find a Bulgarian Makarov, I just got an 8, I think I have 3 left. If you find a Bulgarian Makarov in the kind of $350 range, go ahead and jump on it. Highly recommend you do that. It will be a great investment. I guarantee you it'll go up in value very quickly because they're about gone. But these are one of my favorite sort of Cold War era handguns, incredibly iconic. And there is a massive collector following on these patterns alone. So again, there are going to soon be a lot of people who want them and not a lot to go around. So anyway, that basically sums that up. Well, that is all the time I have for you today on these. Thank you so much for stopping by and checking that out. If you have any questions, please leave those down for me in the comment section. If you enjoyed this video, please consider giving me a like. And if you want to see more videos like this, please consider subscribing to our channel and make sure to hit that bell notification button so that you can know when we are posting new content. Anyway, I am Chris with Marksman Shooting Sports and CheapGunsUSA.com. You are watching Marksman TV. I will see you next time.